because he went to UFC and wanted to do more with his professional career, more so than be a wrestler for the next 10 years. So we didn't come down on Brock Lesnar as hard as what we're coming down on Hulk Hogan. Why is that? Probably because Brock Lesnar's a different name altogether than Hulk Hogan. Why didn't we come down on the Ultimate Warrior as hard as what we did, come down on Hulk Hogan? Because it's the Ultimate Warrior. He's a different name than Hulk Hogan altogether. I think we're just, singling Hulk Hogan out in this situation, and I think that people who are standing up and fighting back for Hulk Hogan's legal rights definitely need to be commended for what they're doing, because if not for these people, Hulk Hogan's name still wouldn't be being advertised as a household name. And Hulk Hogan, regardless of how you feel about him, will go down in history as a 2005 Hall of Famer and a household name with professional wrestling. And that's why we keep seeing him popping up all the time, whether it be on a small independent promotion or on a household name like WWE or TNA. He's always going to keep showing up because he's that name that made everything possible in professional wrestling. That's why I've chosen the headline for this week's video blog, Hulk Still Rules, because he really does. That DVD they released a couple of years ago on Hulk Hogan's career, definitely truer words had been spoken in the title of a DVD release on the Immortal, Hulk Still Rules, because he does still rule. If he didn't rule, it wouldn't have been publicized on t-shirts, it wouldn't have been publicized on action figures, it wouldn't have been publicized on magazine articles. Hulk Hogan is someone who ruled for years and will continuously rule, ever leaving images still in their minds that we will never ever forget about, like Hulk Hogan body slamming Andre the Giant back in 1987-88, making the cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean, that should tell you right there what kind of name Hulk Hogan is. He headlined WrestleMania 5 with Macho Man Randy Savage, WrestleMania 6 with The Ultimate Warrior. God knows how unprofessional he was. Again, going back and reiterating how unprofessional more names than just Hulk Hogan have been unprofessional for years. I mean, we didn't excommunicate The Ultimate Warrior because The Ultimate Warrior was unprofessional. Yeah, we may not have talked about him as much as someone like a Ric Flair, but we didn't excommunicate him altogether. He eventually landed a spot in the Hall of Fame. We didn't excommunicate Stone Cold Steve Austin from merchandise and video games because he had animosity towards Vince McMahon and the contractual dispute back in 2001-2002 when Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold Steve Austin walked away from it all. But I just think like I said, we're singling Hulk Hogan out in this situation, and Hulk Hogan doesn't need to be singled out in the way that so many people have chosen to single him out for. Brooke Hogan is another person who stood up for Hulk Hogan in this situation. She needs to be commended for sticking up for her father and what she believes in when promoting her album. She's offered a lot of opinions when it comes towards Hulk Hogan and this racist situation. She believes he's right with what he said. She believes his actions are definitely justifiable, and I agree with Brooke Hogan in that situation. I mean, it's not like we haven't heard anybody else be unprofessional with opinions towards wrestling fans. I mean, sometimes, let's be honest, fans of whatever you're talking about sometimes get very frustrated by what's going on, and wrestlers and celebrities get very frustrated with what fans feel about them. So obviously Hulk Hogan was very frustrated on something going on within the depths of his mind, or how he felt about a certain group of individuals. And like I said, he just used that freedom of speech, and he was obviously held accountable for his actions, and WWE dealt with it in the appropriate manner they believed at the time was the most appropriate thing to do. But here's how I feel about WWE and their decision. I don't think it was the most appropriate thing to do to excommunicate your biggest household name over the last 30 years the way that you did. I mean, if you did it with Hulk Hogan, why didn't you do it with Stone Cold Steve Austin? Why didn't you do it with The Ultimate Warrior? It's because WWE executives love to play favorites. Because Stone Cold Steve Austin was obviously more of a favorite than Hulk Hogan was, WWE always went back to Steve Austin. They didn't care about what Steve Austin had to say in the way of an opinion because he was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Obviously, they felt the same way about other household names like Shawn Michaels and The Ultimate Warrior. I mean, how come people like Shawn Michaels and Triple H, with how immature they were on times with DX back in the mid-90s, were never held accountable for their actions? Obviously, it was because they were a part of the Attitude Era and they were in a ratings war with World Championship Wrestling for supremacy. If WWE were as fair and as justifiable as what they professed to be, then they would have treated people like Shawn Michaels and Triple H in the same way they're choosing to treat Hulk Hogan here in 2015. Now, obviously, the standards of professional wrestling have come a long way since 1997, and wrestling back then was so out of reach, so out of touch with reality, it was unbelievable. But I mean, honestly, should we be treating Hulk Hogan the way that we are? I'm sure there's a variety of opinions when it comes to Hulk Hogan and the way that he's being treated. Some people probably feel that Hulk Hogan's being treated unfairly, and the actions of WWE are definitely actions that are unjustifiable and should be definitely dealt with in a better way than what they were. Obviously, or fans feel that WWE rather is very guilty in what they do, and then there are those fans out there that will obviously choose to side with World Wrestling Entertainment because they've been diehard fans for years. So I think I can get away with saying the opinions about the situation are definitely out there. They're definitely very diverse, and that's why I'm looking forward to hearing your opinion on this situation. Do you in fact believe that Hulk Hogan is guilty and should be held accountable for his actions? Do you think it's right or wrong that Hogan is filing for legal rights in this dispute? I would definitely say there's going to be a variety of opinions offered up about this situation. A couple of months ago when this story was first broke on ProWrestling.com and .net, I posted an initial video blog with my initial reaction in it on Hulk Hogan and this situation after he dropped the N-word during this interview. Again, guys, I had not seen the interview where Hulk Hogan dropped the N-word. If I do find the interview for you, I'll probably post it and tweet it out on Facebook and Twitter for you just to give you an opinion on what I think, just to give you an idea of what happened here and what I think on this situation. But again, I haven't seen the video where Hulk Hogan dropped the N-word. I haven't seen the video where Hulk Hogan eventually went on to be referred to as a racist by a lot of wrestling reviewers. And again, the thing that you got to take into consideration and take into account with all of this is coming from a group of individuals who write weekly columns and post video blogs on YouTube with their opinions in them on professional wrestling. And here's the thing. There's never going to be a day when someone doesn't have an opinion to offer up about anything that happens in professional wrestling. It can be the most ridiculous thing, like a storyline that apparently happened in real life, like the Summer Rae Rusev situation involving Lana and Dolph Ziggler. We all know how much that was blown out of proportion by TMZ. It's either something like that or something that's so ridiculous, it's unbelievable. And I think that WWE and Hulk Hogan are just handling the situation so unprofessionally. Maybe not in the eyes of a lot of people. This is not being handled unprofessionally, but the thing is, to remove Hulk Hogan's name off everything, do we really have to go as far as this? And who really is the victim in all of this? What it comes down to, in my opinion, the victim of all of this are the wrestling fans. And anyone who stands up for Hulk Hogan, you're not wrong. Anyone who stands up for WWE, you're not wrong in this circumstance. But again, I really feel for the Hulk Hogan fans out there who have been with Hulk Hogan from the get-go. You have been a wrestling fan because of names like Hulk Hogan, and to see names like Hulk Hogan treated the way they've been treated over the last at least 3 to 5 years, and especially within the last 6 months, is absolutely ridiculous. Without a doubt, by the time we do the Year in Review 2015, it's going to have one of the top stories from 2015 being the Hulk Hogan situation, where he referred to as a racist by wrestling columnists and reviewers out there. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But the thing is, this has gotten so out of touch with reality, it is unbelievable. And my opinion on this whole situation is enough is enough. Do I think that Hulk Hogan is right by filing for his legal rights in this situation? Sure I do, because I'm a die-hard Hulk Hogan fan, and I'm sure there are millions of other people out there who feel the same way I do about this situation. But at the end of the day, are we really going to reach a climax in all of this? Are we really going to see this issue resolved? Probably not, because if this issue was ever going to be resolved, Hulk Hogan would have been on WWE television long before now, long after this issue was first publicized by ProWrestling.com and .net. And I was like a lot of you people who didn't want to believe it in the first few days that this story was publicized by ProWrestling.com and .net, PW Insider, PW Torch, whatever website you first read about it on. The thing is, in my opinion, this does not need to be happening, and this has been blown totally out of proportion. I didn't want to believe it, like a lot of you probably didn't want to believe it, especially the Hulk Hogan fans out there who have supported Hulk Hogan from the get-go. And all I got to say is, I really feel for you guys, and that's why I'm posting this update on this situation on my YouTube channel at Jonathan Clarke 22. You can get in on the conversation on Facebook at facebook.com/HEW Entertainment. Let me know what you think of it. My opinion is, this is so out of touch with reality, and we've heard about it enough. Enough is enough, and I've had it up to here with everybody's opinion on, who is really the victim in this situation. Is it Hulk Hogan? Is he not the victim, or is it somebody else? Is it WWE? I think both parties, in my opinion, if I can kind of get away with drawing my own conclusion in this situation, I think both parties are at fault. Both parties are both the victims in this situation because they're handling it so unprofessionally, and it's just ridiculous. And I think we can be devoting time to talking about a wrestling angle that's been playing out for the purpose of a storyline. We've been talking about more critical things happening behind closed doors in professional wrestling. My website, my Facebook page, my Twitter are always posting something every 30 minutes in the way of professional wrestling news that are probably more relative news to be talking about that is definitely more beneficial to a lot of wrestling fans than probably this situation, which we've heard about for the better part of the last 4 months. Enough is enough. Let's move on with the times, and let's get ready for WrestleMania 32 season. Let's talk about something else like the debut of Samoa Joe or some promising superstar who's coming up through the ranks on NXT. The Divas Revolution is something else to be talked about. The 25th anniversary of The Undertaker coming up on the 22nd of November. Let's talk about all this rather than talking about, oh, Hulk Hogan, who's a racist, or Hulk Hogan is this, Hulk Hogan is that. Regardless of how you feel about Hulk Hogan, and regardless of how, Hulk Hogan may have handled the situation when he was asked a couple of questions, which obviously he became very frustrated about over a certain group of people, a certain group of individuals who were singled out, obviously in this interview, or felt like they were singled out. I really don't know how it unfolded because, again, I haven't seen the YouTube video, and if I do see it, I'll post it on my Facebook page and Twitter for you. I'll make sure I do that when I, refer you to what I'm really talking about in this situation. But the thing is, I know what I'm talking about, regardless if you feel I don't know or I do know what I'm talking about in this situation. I just think we're handling it so unprofessionally, and it really doesn't need to be dealt with in the way that it is, because regardless of how you feel about him, Hulk Hogan always has been and always will be one of those household names who deserve a spot in the Hall of Fame. Let me say this, if less than 100 individuals can be inducted and get away with being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame since 1993, with the inaugural induction being Andre the Giant, then Hulk Hogan is someone who in 2005 was more deserving of being inducted into the Hall of Fame than anybody of that class or anybody who came before him being inducted into the Hall of Fame, even Andre the Giant. If you can make the cover of Sports Illustrated back in the 80s for headlining WrestleMania 3, with Andre the Giant, then you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. If you can headline WrestleMania after WrestleMania with the likes of Pop Rod, Roddy Piper, who is a loss in this industry, who I will never get over, and the likes of the Ultimate Warrior with how God knows how unprofessional he was, then you deserve to file for your legal rights. You deserve to go down in history as an icon or a legend, and so many people shouldn't come down on you as hard as what they've chosen to do. And I think that everybody is a victim in this. Everybody is suffering, not just WWE or Hulk Hogan, who are both handling this so unprofessionally. I don't even know what side I really do choose at the end of the day in this video.